Before there were cities, before there were borders or names, the land we now call Florida already existed in a quiet and complete way. Water moved gently across low ground, warm air rested beneath wide skies, and time passed without being counted. This story begins there, not with events or dates, but with the feeling of the land itself. Florida has always been shaped by water. Rivers move slowly through flat landscapes. Wetlands expand and retreat with the rhythm of rain. The sea rests along long coastlines, rising and falling without urgency. These natural movements set the pace for everything that followed. Life here learned early how to slow down, how to wait, and how to listen. This documentary is not a fast journey through history. It is a gentle one. It moves the way Florida moves, calmly and patiently, allowing moments to unfold without pressure. You do not need to remember names or timelines. You do not need to stay awake for every part. This story is designed to continue peacefully even if sleep arrives. Over time, people came to this land and learned its rhythms. They built their lives around water, warmth, and season. Later, explorers arrived quietly. Control shifted slowly. Communities formed, changed, and adjusted again. None of it happened suddenly. Everything here unfolded in layers, each one settling gently over the last. Florida has often been a place in between land and water, between cultures and empires, between past and future. And yet, through every change, the land itself remained steady. Heat slowed ambition, rain reshaped plans, distance encouraged patience. The environment always had the final word. As you listen, the story will move through long stretches of time, ancient landscapes, daily life along rivers and shores, quiet encounters, shifting control, conflict and recovery, growth that arrives slowly, railways, towns, cities, and modern life, all of it connected by the same calm foundation. There are no loud moments here, no cliffhangers, no urgency, just steady narration, soft transitions, and a sense of continuity. If your thoughts drift, that is perfectly fine. If you fall asleep, the story will keep moving gently on its own. This is a history meant to be felt rather than followed closely. A background presence, a calm companion through the night. Like the land itself, it does not ask for attention. It simply exists, steady and patient. So now allow your breathing to slow. Let your body rest. Let the rhythm of Florida's land and time carry you forward, gently and without effort, as this long story begins. Number 1. Ancient landscapes and the first peoples of Florida. Long before Florida had a name, long before lines were drawn on maps, the land already existed in a quiet and complete way. Water, earth, and sky rested together in balance. The air was warm and slow. The ground was soft in places, firm in others. Nothing hurried here. Florida begins as a land shaped gently by water. Rivers move slowly through flat ground. Wetlands stretch wide, reflecting the sky like still mirrors. The sea rests patiently along long coastlines, rising and falling in calm rhythm. Even before people arrive, the land feels alive, breathing quietly. Days pass without measure. Sunlight filters through tall trees, warm rain arrives and leaves again. The land accepts it all without resistance. The first people arrive gradually, drawn by water, by food, by the gentle promise of the land. They do not come all at once. They arrive over long stretches of time, settling where the land feels welcoming. These early people live close to nature, not above it. They move with the seasons rather than against them. They learn where the land offers abundance and where it asks for patience. Their lives are shaped by observation rather than control. Morning begins softly. Light spreads across wetlands and forests. Birds move quietly through the air. People wake slowly, listening before moving. The day unfolds without urgency. Daily life follows familiar patterns. Food is gathered carefully from water and land. Fish are taken patiently from rivers and coasts. Plants are collected with respect for what will grow again. Nothing is wasted, nothing is rushed. Homes are simple and practical. They offer shade from the sun and protection from rain. They blend into the land rather than standing apart from it. Life feels light, unburdened by excess. Children grow up surrounded by water, trees, and open sky. They learn by watching. They follow elders along familiar paths. They understand the land through experience rather than explanation. Time is not counted in days or years, it is felt through change, through shifting water levels, through the return of certain plants, through the movement of animals across familiar routes. The land teaches patience. Some days bring abundance, other days bring quiet waiting. Both are accepted calmly. In the wetlands, water becomes a constant companion. It cools the air. It carries sound softly. It reflects the sky in endless variation. People learn to move through it with care, understanding its moods and limits. Along the coast, the sea sets a gentle rhythm. Tides come and go without hurry. Fishing follows this rhythm, guided by awareness rather than force. The ocean is respected, never challenged. The forest offers shelter and familiarity. Trees stand close together, creating shade and calm. Paths form naturally through repeated movement. Nothing is carved sharply into the land. Everything remains flexible. Evenings arrive slowly. The air cools slightly. Voices soften. Fires glow gently, offering warmth and comfort. Stories are shared quietly, passed from one generation to the next. These stories are not dramatic, they are grounding. They speak of the land, of animals, of lessons learned through patience. They exist to comfort, not to impress. Night settles gently over Florida. Stars appear above wetlands and forests alike. The sounds of water, insects, and distant movement fill the darkness. Sleep comes naturally, guided by the body rather than thought. Generations pass without disruption. Life continues in steady cycles. Children become elders, elders become memory, the land remains. Different groups live across Florida, each shaped by their environment. Some live near rivers, some near the sea, some within forests and wetlands. Each way of life is calm, deliberate, and deeply connected to place. There is no sense of ownership as later generations will understand it. The land is shared, it is respected. People belong to it rather than possessing it. Over long stretches of time, small changes occur. Rivers shift gently, coastlines move slowly. The land adapts, and the people adapt with it. Nothing feels permanent in a rigid way. Everything is allowed to change softly. This early Florida is not marked by events or conflict. It is marked by continuity, by routine, by balance between people and environment. The land holds memory quietly, in worn paths, in familiar gathering places, in shared understanding passed down through calm repetition. As this first part of the story drifts onward, there is no need to stay alert. No detail needs to be remembered clearly. This story is meant to carry you gently, whether you are listening fully or already drifting towards sleep. The ancient landscapes of Florida continue to rest beneath the sky, holding the lives of the first people softly within them, moving forward slowly, patient and calm, as time passes without effort and rest settles in. The land continues its slow and steady rhythm, unchanged by the passing of countless quiet days. Florida remains shaped by water and warmth, by flat horizons and gentle movement. Nothing presses forward, nothing pulls back. Life simply continues. Morning returns again softly and without announcement. Mist rises from wetlands as the air begins to warm. Water reflects pale light, smooth and unbroken. Birds move calmly from place to place, following patterns older than memory. The people who live here rise gradually. They listen first. They feel the air, notice the movement of water, sense the mood of the day. There is no reason to hurry. Everything that needs to happen will unfold in time. Daily life follows familiar paths. Some move toward rivers, gliding quietly across water that feels like a second skin. Others walk shaded forest paths, feet landing where many feet have landed before. The land feels known. It offers reassurance through repetition. Food is gathered patiently. Fishing is done with care, guided by tides and quiet observation. Shells are collected along calm shores. Plants are gathered thoughtfully, leaving enough for the future. The land is trusted to continue providing as long as it is treated gently. Water remains central to everything. It cools the body, it carries sound, it reflects the sky and softens the world. People learn its moods, understanding when it is welcoming and when it asks for distance. Children move freely through this landscape. They play near water and trees, learning balance through experience. They watch adults work without instruction. Knowledge passes quietly, absorbed rather than taught. Time here feels wide and unmeasured. There are no strict beginnings or endings to days. Moments blend into one another. The sense of now stretches comfortably. Seasons shift gently. Rain arrives, then leaves. Water levels rise and fall. The land responds calmly, and the people respond with it. Change is expected, never feared. In the wetlands, life moves slowly but steadily. Canoes glide without sound. Hands trail lightly through water. The air feels heavy but calm, holding warmth without pressure. Along the coast, the sea continues its patient rhythm. Tides arrive and retreat. Fishing follows these movements naturally. People wait more than they act, trusting timing over force. Forests offer shade and familiarity. Trees stand close together, their leaves filtering sunlight into gentle patterns. Paths remain soft, never sharply defined. Movement through them feels instinctive. Evenings return again just as they always have. The air cools slightly. The light softens. Fires are lit carefully, glowing low and steady. People gather without ceremony. Voices are quiet. Words are few. Stories are shared not to teach history, but to remind everyone where they belong. These stories carry the land within them. Night settles slowly over Florida. Darkness feels full rather than empty. Insects hum softly. Water continues to move even when unseen. The land does not sleep, but it rests. Sleep comes easily to those who live here. Bodies relax naturally. Dreams drift in and out, shaped by water, warmth, and familiarity. Generations continue to pass without disruption. Life flows forward in cycles rather than lines. Children grow into adults. Adults become elders. Elders fade gently into memory. The land remains the constant presence. It holds every life lightly, without ownership or demand. It remembers through rhythm rather than record. Over long stretches of time, subtle changes continue. New paths form as others fade. Gathering places shift slightly. The land adapts, and the people adapt with it. Nothing here feels fixed in a rigid way. Flexibility is part of survival. Listening is more important than planning. This early Florida exists in quiet balance. There is no sense of expansion or ambition, only presence, only continuity. As this part of the story continues, there is no need to hold on to details. The flow is gentle by design. If your thoughts drift, the land continues on its own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow rest to deepen. The ancient landscapes of Florida continue their calm rhythm, holding water, sky, and people together, moving forward without effort, patient and steady, as time drifts on and sleep settles more deeply. The land continues to exist in its quiet completeness, resting gently between water and sky. Florida remains warm, flat, and open, shaped by slow movement rather than sharp change. Time drifts here without urgency, carried forward by repeating days and familiar rhythms. Morning returns again as it always has. Light spreads softly across wetlands, forests, and coastal edges. The air feels heavy with warmth and moisture, yet calm. Water reflects the sky in pale colors, barely disturbed. The people rise slowly, guided by habit rather than intention. They listen before they move. They notice the direction of wind, the level of water, the quiet activity of animals. The land speaks in subtle ways, and they have learned how to hear it. Daily life continues with gentle purpose. Some move toward the water, where rivers and shallow wetlands offer food and coolness. Others remain on firmer ground, gathering plants and tending to familiar places. Movement is unhurried, careful, and practiced. Water remains the center of everything. It shapes the land, it shapes the body, it shapes thought itself. People glide across it quietly, understanding its depth and flow without measurement. Fishing remains patient and calm. Nets are placed thoughtfully, hands move slowly. Waiting is part of the process, never seen as wasted time. The land rewards attention, not force. Children continue to learn by being present. They follow elders along soft paths. They watch how hands move, how bodies pause, how silence is respected. Knowledge settles into them naturally, without instruction. The forests remain steady companions. Tall trees filter sunlight into soft patterns. The air beneath them feels cooler and slower. Paths wind gently, formed by years of quiet movement rather than intention. Along the coast, the sea continues its endless rhythm. Waves rise and fall without effort. Tides arrive and retreat. People adjust their movements to this rhythm, trusting it completely. Even when storms pass through, they do not break the balance. Rain arrives, heavy and warm, then fades away. Water levels change. The land absorbs it. Life continues. There is no sense of fear in these changes, only understanding, only adaptation. Evenings arrive slowly. Light softens across the land. Shadows lengthen. Voices grow quieter. Fires are lit carefully, glowing low and steady. Gatherings feel familiar and grounding. People sit close, sharing warmth rather than words. Stories are told softly, not to explain the world, but to remind everyone of their place within it. These stories carry memory without dates or names. They speak of animals, of water, of journeys made and lessons learned. They exist to comfort and connect. Night settles gently over Florida. The sky darkens fully. Stars appear above wetlands, forests, and coastlines alike. The sounds of insects and water fill the darkness. Sleep comes naturally. Bodies rest without resistance. Dreams drift slowly, shaped by the land and its rhythms. Over many generations, this way of life remains steady. It does not aim toward growth or expansion. It aims toward balance. The land continues to change in subtle ways. Rivers shift slightly. Coastlines move slowly. The people adjust without conflict. Nothing is permanent in a rigid sense. Everything is allowed to change gently. This early Florida exists without hurry, without ambition, without division between people and land. It is a place of presence rather than progress, of listening rather than speaking, of continuity rather than event. As this first chapter of Florida's story comes to a quiet rest, there is no ending to mark, only a soft transition, a sense that time continues onward, calmly and patiently. You do not need to stay awake for what comes next. The land will carry the story forward on its own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. The ancient landscapes of Florida remain holding the memory of the first people gently within them, resting beneath the wide sky, steady and calm, as time drifts on and sleep settles fully in. Number 2, daily life along rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores. Florida continues to exist as a land shaped by water and warmth, where the ground stays low and the sky feels wide and close. Here, daily life unfolds gently, guided by rivers that move without hurry, wetlands that breathe with the seasons, and coastal shores that rise and fall with quiet tides. Morning arrives softly, light spreads across shallow water and dark soil. Mist lifts slowly from wetlands, blurring the line between land and sky. The air feels warm even early in the day, heavy but calm, as if inviting stillness. People wake without urgency. They listen first. They sense the movement of water, the calls of birds, the quiet signals of the land. The day does not begin with a command. It begins with awareness. Life along the rivers follows the water's pace. Rivers move slowly here, wide and gentle, curving through forests and open land. Their banks are familiar places, shaped by repeated visits and quiet use. People gather near them naturally, drawn by water's steady presence. Canoes glide across the surface without sound. Hands move calmly through the water. Fishing is patient and deliberate, guided by observation rather than force. People wait more than they act, trusting the river to offer what it will. Along these riverbanks, daily routines feel grounded and predictable. Food is prepared slowly. Tools are simple and familiar. There is time to pause, time to rest, time to watch the water carry reflections of the sky. Wetlands stretch outward in long, quiet spaces. They are neither land nor water fully, but something in between. Movement here is careful and respectful. People know where to step, where to float, where to wait. The wetlands change with the seasons. Water levels rise and fall. Plants grow thick, then thin again. Animals appear and disappear according to rhythms older than memory. People adapt without resistance. Daily life in the wetlands requires attention rather than effort. Listening matters more than speed. Knowing when to move matters more than how fast. The land teaches patience through repetition. Children grow up surrounded by water and open sky. They learn balance early, stepping lightly, moving carefully. They play near the edges of water, learning its moods through experience rather than instruction. Knowledge is passed quietly, not through lessons, but through presence. Children watch adults move, wait, and listen. They absorb understanding without needing explanation. Along the coastal shores, life follows the rhythm of the sea. The ocean rests beside the land, rising and falling without concern. Tides arrive and retreat, shaping daily routine without sound. Fishing along the coast is calm and steady. Nets are set thoughtfully, shells are gathered patiently. People time their movements with the tides, trusting the sea's rhythm completely. The shore itself feels alive. Waves move in slow repetition. Sand shifts beneath feet. The air carries salt and warmth, softening everything it touches. Homes near the coast are simple and practical. They offer shade from the sun and shelter from rain. They blend into the land, never standing sharply apart from it. Afternoons often bring stillness. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement slows naturally. People seek shade and water, allowing the day to breathe. This pause is not emptiness, it is part of the rhythm. The land seems to hold its breath, inviting everyone to do the same. As the light softens toward evening, activity resumes gently. Fishing ends, gathering slows. People return to familiar places without hurry. Evenings feel calm and grounding. Fires glow softly. Food is shared quietly. Voices remain low, often giving way to comfortable silence. Stories are sometimes told, but they are simple and familiar. They speak of water, animals, and journeys made long ago. They exist to comfort rather than to instruct. Night settles slowly over rivers, wetlands, and shores alike. Darkness feels full of sound rather than empty. Water continues to move. Insects hum softly. The land does not sleep, but it rests. Sleep comes easily. Bodies relax naturally after steady days. Dreams drift in and out, shaped by water, warmth, and familiarity. This is daily life in early Florida, not marked by events or urgency, but by repetition and balance, by listening more than acting, by moving with the land rather than against it. As this part of the story continues, there is nothing you need to remember clearly. The flow is gentle by design. If your thoughts drift, the rivers continue on their own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow rest to deepen. Florida's rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores continue their quiet rhythm, holding daily life softly within them, steady and calm as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles in. The rhythm of daily life continues, steady and unbroken, shaped gently by water and warmth. Florida remains a place where land and water meet without sharp edges, where movement feels slow and intentional, and where time seems to stretch rather than pass. Morning returns again with familiar softness. Light spreads across river surfaces and wet ground, turning everything pale and calm. The air feels thick with warmth and moisture, yet peaceful. People wake gradually, listening to the quiet signals of the land before they move. Along the rivers, life follows the same dependable patterns. Water notices no borders. It curves and flows as it always has, guiding daily routine. People return to the same riverbanks, drawn by familiarity and trust. Fishing remains patient and careful. Canoes move without sound. Hands work slowly, guided by experience rather than urgency. Waiting feels natural here, never wasted. The rivers provide more than food. They offer direction. They offer cooling air. They offer a steady presence that shapes thought as much as movement. People learn to sit near the water, watching reflections change, allowing time to soften. Wetlands continue to stretch wide and quiet. They feel alive with subtle movement. Water shifts slowly. Plants grow thick, then thin again. Birds arrive and leave according to rhythms understood without words. Movement through the wetlands remains careful. Feet step where they have stepped before. Paths are remembered through use rather than markers. People understand where the land is firm and where it asks for patience. Daily tasks here require attention, not force. Listening matters more than speed. Knowing when to stop matters as much as knowing when to move. The land teaches these lessons gently, through repetition. Children continue to learn by being present. They follow adults through shallow water and soft ground. They learn balance, awareness, and calm through experience. No one rushes their understanding. Knowledge passes quietly between generations. There are no formal lessons. There is only watching, copying, and slowly becoming familiar with the land's rhythm. Along the coastal shores, the sea remains a steady guide. Tides rise and fall without effort. The shoreline changes subtly from day to day, reminding everyone that nothing here is fixed. Fishing along the coast continues calmly. People move with the tide rather than against it. Shells are gathered slowly. The ocean is respected as a living presence, not controlled. The sound of waves becomes part of daily awareness. It softens thought. It encourages patience. It makes silence feel full rather than empty. Homes near rivers, wetlands, and shores remain simple. They offer shade and shelter, nothing more. They blend into the land, shaped by climate and necessity rather than design. Afternoons continue to bring stillness. The sun rests high. Movement slows naturally. People seek shade, water, and rest. The land seems to insist on this pause. During these hours, time feels especially wide. Nothing pushes forward, nothing pulls back. Thoughts drift gently, unburdened by urgency. As the day begins to cool, activity resumes without signal. Fishing ends for the day, gathering slows. People return to familiar places calmly, without hurry. Evenings feel grounding and familiar. Fires glow softly. Food is prepared and shared. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. Stories, when told, are simple and reassuring. They speak of water, animals, and places known well. They are not meant to explain the world, only to remind everyone of belonging. Night settles gently over rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores. Darkness feels alive with sound. Water continues to move. Insects hum softly. The air remains warm and calm. Sleep comes easily after steady days. Bodies relax. Breathing slows. Dreams drift quietly, shaped by water and warmth. This way of life continues without interruption. It does not seek change or expansion. It seeks balance. As this part of the story drifts onward, there is nothing you need to remember clearly. The flow is gentle by design. If your thoughts wander, the land continues on its own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow rest to deepen. Daily life along Florida's rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores continues quietly, held by water and sky, steady and calm, as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles more deeply. The land continues its gentle rhythm, unchanged by the passing of countless quiet days. Florida remains a place where water is never far away, where the ground feels soft beneath the feet, and where the air carries warmth without urgency. Life moves forward slowly here, guided by patterns that feel older than memory. Morning arrives again, calm and unannounced. Light spreads across wide stretches of water and dark, fertile soil. Mist lifts lazily from wetlands, blurring shapes and edges. The world feels half awake, resting between night and day. People rise without hurry. They listen first, sensing the movement of water, the calls of birds, the quiet signals that shape the hours ahead. There is no pressure to begin. The day opens gently, like water spreading across flat land. Along the rivers, the same familiar routines continue. Canoes glide slowly, barely touching the surface. Hands trail through cool water. Fishing remains patient, guided by observation and trust rather than effort. Waiting feels natural, never empty. The rivers offer steadiness. They cool the air. They carry sound softly. They reflect the sky, reminding everyone that change can be calm and continuous. People sit near the water often, allowing thoughts to slow and settle. Wetlands continue to stretch wide and open. They change constantly, yet never suddenly. Water levels rise and fall. Plants grow thick, then thin again. The land breathes in long, slow cycles. Movement through the wetlands remains careful and respectful. People know where to step, where to float, where to pause. Paths are remembered through repetition rather than markings. Every movement feels intentional, even when unplanned. Children grow within this landscape, surrounded by water and sky. They learn balance early, stepping lightly, watching closely. They follow adults without instruction, absorbing knowledge through presence. Understanding arrives quietly, without force. Knowledge continues to pass between generations without ceremony. There are no lessons spoken aloud. There is only example. Watching how hands move, watching how bodies pause, watching how silence is respected. Along the coastal shores, the sea remains a steady companion. Waves rise and fall in endless repetition. Tides arrive and retreat without sound. The shoreline shifts subtly, reminding everyone that nothing here is fixed. Fishing along the coast remains calm and deliberate. Nets are set thoughtfully. Shells are gathered slowly. People move with the tides, never against them. The ocean is trusted, but never taken for granted. The sound of waves becomes part of daily awareness. It softens the mind. It fills silence gently. It makes time feel wide and forgiving. Homes near rivers, wetlands, and shores remain simple. They offer shade and shelter, nothing more. They blend into the land, shaped by climate rather than design. Life feels light, unburdened by excess. Afternoons continue to bring stillness. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement slows naturally. People seek shade and water, allowing the day to pause. This rest is not chosen. It is guided by the land itself. During these quiet hours, time feels almost suspended. Thoughts drift easily. The world feels soft around the edges. Nothing asks for attention. As the light begins to soften, activity resumes gently. Fishing slows and comes to an end. Gathering finishes without rush. People return to familiar places calmly, carrying the day with them. Evenings feel grounding and familiar. Fires glow low and steady. Food is prepared slowly and shared quietly. Voices remain soft, often fading into silence. Stories, when shared, are simple and reassuring. They speak of water, animals, and familiar places. They are not meant to explain the world, only to remind everyone of belonging. Night settles gently over rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores. Darkness feels alive with sound. Water continues to move unseen. Insects hum softly. The air remains warm and still. Sleep comes easily after steady days. Bodies relax without resistance. Breathing slows naturally. Dreams drift quietly, shaped by water, warmth, and familiarity. This way of life continues without urgency or ambition. It does not seek change. It seeks balance. The land holds everything gently. It remembers through rhythm rather than record. It allows life to continue without forcing direction. As this part of the story comes to rest, there is nothing you need to remember clearly. The flow is gentle by design. If your thoughts drift, the rivers continue on their own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow rest to deepen. Daily life along Florida's rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores continues quietly, held by water and sky, steady and calm. As time moves forward without effort and sleep settles fully in, the rhythm of Florida's land continues without interruption, steady and unhurried, shaped by water that moves slowly and air that carries warmth with patience. Nothing begins suddenly here, and nothing ends sharply. Life flows much like the rivers themselves, bending gently around what already exists. Morning arrives again in a soft, familiar way. Light spreads across wide stretches of shallow water, touching reeds, grasses, and dark soil. Mist rises slowly, blurring the edges of the world until everything feels calm and close together. The air is warm and still, holding the quiet of the early hours. People wake without effort. They do not rush to stand or move. They listen first. They notice the sound of water shifting nearby, the distant call of birds, the subtle change in the air. The land offers guidance without words. Along the rivers, the day unfolds gently. Water slides past the banks at the same steady pace it has always known. Canoes move quietly, gliding with barely a ripple. Hands dip into the water, feeling its temperature, its calm strength. Fishing continues as a practice of patience. Nets are placed carefully, lines are checked slowly. Waiting is not seen as empty time. It is part of the rhythm, as natural as breathing. The riverbanks feel familiar and safe. These are places returned to again and again, shaped by repeated presence rather than construction. People sit here often, resting, watching reflections drift across the surface. Thoughts slow naturally in these moments. Wetlands stretch wide and open, neither fully land nor fully water. They change constantly, yet never abruptly. Water levels rise and fall. Plants grow thick, then thin again. The land seems to breathe in long, slow cycles. Moving through the wetlands requires awareness rather than speed. Feet step where the ground feels firm. Bodies adjust to shifting surfaces without frustration. People know when to pause, when to move, and when to wait. Children grow up surrounded by this balance. They learn early how to move lightly, how to watch before acting. They follow adults through water and grass, copying movements without instruction. Knowledge settles into them quietly through repetition and trust. No one explains the land in words. It is understood through experience, through wet feet and warm air, through long afternoons and quiet evenings. Along the coastal shores, the sea continues its endless calming motion. Waves rise and fall in steady repetition. Tides arrive and retreat without sound. The shoreline shifts gently, reminding everyone that change does not need force. Fishing by the sea remains calm and deliberate. People move with the tide, never against it. Shells are gathered slowly. The ocean is approached with respect, trusted but never controlled. The sound of waves becomes a constant companion. It fills the air softly, easing the mind. Silence here is never empty. It is layered with movement and life. Homes near rivers, wetlands, and shores remain simple and practical. They offer shade from the sun and shelter from rain. They sit lightly on the land, blending rather than standing apart. Life feels uncluttered, focused on what is needed. Afternoons continue to bring deep stillness. The sun rests high in the sky. Heat settles gently across land and water. Movement slows without decision. People rest in shade, near water, allowing the day to pause. This rest is not chosen. It is guided by the land itself. The body listens and the body responds. During these hours, time feels wide and soft. Thoughts drift without direction. The world feels suspended, held in calm balance. As the light begins to soften, activity resumes naturally. Fishing comes to an end for the day. Gathering slows. People return to familiar places without hurry, carrying the quiet of the day with them. Evenings feel grounding and gentle. Fires glow low and steady. Food is prepared slowly and shared quietly. Voices remain soft, often giving way to silence. Stories are sometimes told, but they are simple and familiar. They speak of animals, water, and places known well. They exist to comfort, not to teach. Night settles slowly across rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores. Darkness feels alive with sound. Water continues to move unseen. Insects hum softly. The air remains warm and calm. Sleep arrives easily. Bodies relax without resistance. Breathing slows naturally. Dreams drift quietly, shaped by water, warmth, and familiarity. This way of life continues without urgency. It does not push forward. It does not look back. It simply remains. The land holds everything gently, allowing life to move at its own pace. It remembers through rhythm rather than record. It carries people forward without asking them to hurry. As this part of the story settles, there is nothing you need to remember clearly. If your thoughts drift, the rivers continue on their own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow rest to deepen. Daily life along Florida's rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores continues quietly, held by water and sky, steady and calm, as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles peacefully in. Number 3. Quiet encounters between native lands and early explorers. The land of Florida remains calm and familiar as time continues its slow movement. Water still shapes the ground, rivers still follow their gentle paths, wetlands breathe with the seasons, and the sea rests patiently along the shore. Nothing in the land itself signals that something new is approaching. Life continues as it always has. People wake with the soft arrival of morning light. They listen to the sounds of water and wind before moving. Daily routines unfold without hurry, guided by long-known rhythms rather than expectation. Far beyond the horizon, other worlds are slowly changing. People there speak of distant lands and wide waters. Their curiosity grows quietly over time, carried forward by long journeys and patient travel. Eventually, this curiosity reaches the edges of Florida. The first encounters do not arrive with noise or force. They appear gently, almost uncertain. Strange boats rest near familiar shores. Unfamiliar figures move cautiously along the coastline, pausing often, observing more than acting. For the people who already live on this land, these moments are noticed calmly. There is curiosity, but no alarm. The land still feels steady beneath their feet. The water still moves as it always has. Early meetings happen slowly and at a distance. There is no shared language. Communication happens through gesture, through posture, through patience. People watch one another quietly, allowing time to soften uncertainty. The explorers step carefully onto the land. The air feels warmer than expected. The ground feels softer in places. The openness of the landscape encourages them to slow their pace. Daily life for the native people continues without interruption. Food is gathered, fishing follows the tides, shelter is maintained. The presence of newcomers does not immediately alter these routines. Some encounters take place near water. Rivers and shorelines become natural meeting points. Water calms the space between people, offering a shared stillness. Silence fills much of these moments, but it does not feel empty. Objects are sometimes exchanged. Simple items pass carefully from hand to hand. There is no rush to understand their purpose. Curiosity remains gentle, cautious, and respectful. The land observes quietly. It does not change its rhythm. Birds continue their movements, waves rise and fall. The sky remains wide and patient. The explorers begin to realize that this land does not respond well to urgency. Heat slows movement. Distance stretches effort. Silence invites listening rather than command. Some explorers stay briefly, then leave again. Others return slowly, recognizing familiar shores and faces. Trust does not appear suddenly. It forms gradually through repeated calm presence. Evenings remain peaceful. Fires glow softly across the land. Stars rise above everyone equally. Night offers the same rest it always has. There is no single moment when everything changes. Change arrives the way water does here, slowly, quietly, and without force. As this first part of the encounters unfolds, the pace remains gentle and steady. Nothing demands attention. Nothing needs to be remembered clearly. You can allow the details to drift past you. You can let your breathing slow. The land of Florida continues to hold all who walk upon it, patient and calm, as these quiet encounters begin to shape the story, softly and without urgency, while the night deepens and rest draws closer. Time continues to move gently across the land, and Florida remains calm beneath the wide open sky. The water still shapes everything. Rivers flow steadily, wetlands shift slowly with the seasons. The sea rests and moves in its familiar rhythm. Nothing feels hurried. The presence of the explorers becomes slightly more familiar, though never constant. They arrive, then leave again. They return after long stretches of time. Their appearance follows no strict pattern, only the patience of long travel and uncertain direction. For the people of the land, daily life continues with little change. They wake with the light, they move with the water, they rest when the heat settles in. These routines are older than any encounter and remain stronger than any curiosity. Meetings continue to happen near water, along rivers, at a touch along the shoreline. Water softens the space between people, offering calm and neutrality. It carries sound gently, allowing silence to feel natural rather than tense. The explorers observe carefully. They notice how people move through wetlands without struggle. They see how fishing is guided by waiting rather than effort. They begin to understand that this land teaches patience above all else. Communication remains quiet and limited. Gestures replace words. Expressions replace explanations. Understanding grows slowly, without expectation of clarity. Objects are exchanged more often now, though still carefully. Food, tools, and small crafted items pass between hands. Each exchange is thoughtful. No one rushes to assign value or meaning. The land continues to hold all of this without reaction. Birds rise and settle. Water levels change gently. The air remains warm and calm. Nothing in nature marks these moments as extraordinary. Some explorers attempt to move farther inland. They do so slowly, guided by rivers and familiar paths. The wetlands encourage careful movement. The heat encourages rest. The land quietly insists on humility. For the native people, these movements are observed without alarm. They continue to trust the rhythms that have always guided them. They do not abandon their ways. They simply allow something unfamiliar to exist alongside the familiar. Evenings remain peaceful. Fires glow softly. Food is prepared and shared. Voices stay low. Stories, when told, remain grounded in the land rather than the moment. Night settles evenly over Florida. Stars appear above water and forest alike. Darkness feels full of sound rather than empty. Sleep comes naturally. Over time, recognition grows. Certain faces become familiar. Certain movements are expected. Distance remains, but it softens. There is no clear boundary between acceptance and caution. Both exist together. Both are allowed time. The land continues to guide behavior more than intention. Heat slows urgency. Water encourages patience. Distance limits haste. These encounters do not reshape life quickly. They settle into memory gently, like ripples that fade back into still water. As this part of the story drifts onward, there is nothing sharp to follow, nothing dramatic to remember. You can let your thoughts wander. You can allow rest to deepen. Florida continues to breathe slowly beneath the sky, holding familiar life and unfamiliar presence together, patient and calm, as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles in quietly. The land continues to rest in its familiar calm, holding water, trees, and open sky in quiet balance. Florida does not hurry. It does not react sharply. It simply continues, allowing time to soften everything that passes through it. The encounters between native communities and early explorers become part of the background of daily life. They are no longer entirely new, yet never fully settled. They appear gently, then fade again, like distant shapes on the horizon. Morning still arrives the same way it always has. Light spreads across wetlands and riverbanks. Mist lifts slowly from warm water. Birds move calmly, following paths known only to them. The day opens without demand. People wake without urgency. They listen before they move. They sense the air, the water, the quiet signals that guide the hours ahead. The presence of outsiders does not interrupt these routines. Along rivers and shores, meetings continue to happen naturally. People recognize one another now. There is less uncertainty in posture, less distance in movement. Still, words remain few. Understanding grows through presence rather than explanation. The explorers learn to slow themselves. They notice that the land responds best to patience. Heat discourages haste. Wet ground asks for careful steps. Water invites waiting. Some explorers stay longer than before. They return to the same places. They recognize familiar faces and gestures. Trust forms not through promises but through repetition. Objects continue to be exchanged quietly. Food, tools, small crafted items pass between hands. Each exchange is calm and deliberate. No one rushes to define meaning. The land remains unchanged. Rivers flow as they always have. The sea rises and falls. Wetlands breathe with the seasons. Nature does not mark these moments as important. It simply holds them. For native communities, life continues with steady balance. Fishing follows tides. Gathering follows growth. Rest follows heat. These rhythms remain stronger than any encounter. Children continue to grow within this landscape. They observe unfamiliar faces without fear. They learn curiosity without urgency. The land teaches them that change can exist without disruption. Evenings remain calm and grounding. Fires glow softly. Food is prepared and shared. Voices stay low, often giving way to silence. The day settles without ceremony. Night arrives gently. Stars appear above wetlands and shores alike. The darkness feels alive with sound. Sleep comes naturally. Over time, the sense of distance between worlds slowly narrows, not through force, not through control, but through repeated quiet presence. There is no clear moment when these encounters become something else. They do not end sharply. They simply fade into the next phase of the land's long story. The land holds memory softly. Footprints appear, then disappear. Paths are used, then softened again. Water carries reflection, not record. Nothing here is permanent in a rigid way. Everything is allowed to change gently. As this chapter comes to a quiet rest, there is no conclusion to mark. Only a transition. Only the sense that the world is slowly widening. You do not need to stay awake for what comes next. The land will carry the story forward on its own. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida remains calm beneath the wide sky, holding familiar life and quiet change together, patient and steady, as time continues its gentle movement and sleep settles in peacefully. Number 4. Slow change under Spanish rule and early settlements. The land of Florida remains calm and unhurried as another layer of time begins to settle gently upon it. The rivers still move slowly. Wetlands continue to breathe with the seasons. The sea rises and falls along the coast without concern for human plans. Nothing in the land itself feels different at first. Change does not arrive here as a sharp moment. It comes quietly, carried across water, shaped by patience and distance. The presence of Spanish explorers slowly turns into something more lasting, though never sudden. Early settlements appear carefully, often near familiar water routes. They are placed where rivers meet land, where the coast offers access and shelter. Buildings rise slowly, shaped by hands learning how to work with heat, humidity, and soft ground. Nothing is built quickly. Nothing is built without adjustment. The Spanish bring new routines with them, new words, new beliefs, new daily practices, yet even these do not move faster than the land allows. Morning still arrives softly, light spreads across water and soil. The air remains warm and heavy. People wake without urgency, whether native or newly arrived. The day begins with listening. Missions begin to form as quiet centers of routine. They are not loud places. They follow repeated patterns of work, rest, and gathering. Bells sound softly, marking time in a way that blends into the wider calm rather than disrupting it. Life around these early settlements settles into steady repetition. Fields are cleared slowly. Plants are grown with trial and patience. Animals are tended carefully. The land teaches its limits through experience rather than instruction. For native communities, daily life continues alongside these changes. Fishing still follows the tides. Gathering still follows the seasons. Movement through wetlands and forests remains familiar and trusted. Old rhythms do not disappear. They continue beneath everything new. Encounters become more frequent now. People meet near water, along paths, beside settlements. There is cooperation at times, distance at others. Nothing is forced to blend quickly. Language remains a barrier, but routine creates understanding. Watching how hands move, seeing when people rest, noticing how the land shapes everyone equally. The Spanish begin to learn that Florida does not reward haste. Heat slows effort. Rain reshapes plans. Water demands respect. Those who listen adjust more easily. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high. Movement eases naturally. People seek shade, whether inside simple buildings or beneath trees. The land invites rest, and rest is accepted. Evenings gather people inward again. Food is prepared. Fires glow softly. Voices remain low. The sky softens into deeper colors. Night settles gently over settlements, forests and wetlands alike. Stars appear above roofs and open water. Sleep comes naturally after steady days. The presence of Spanish rule does not erase what came before. It layers itself slowly over existing life. Old paths remain, new ones form nearby. There is no clear moment when Florida feels transformed. Change happens quietly, through repetition rather than declaration. This early period of Spanish rule is not defined by events. It is defined by adjustment, by patience, by learning how to exist within the land rather than control it. As this part of the story unfolds, there is nothing sharp to follow, nothing urgent to remember. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues to rest beneath the wide sky, holding old rhythms and new routines together, steady and calm, as time moves forward gently and rest draws closer. Time continues its slow movement across the land, and Florida remains warm, low and open beneath the wide sky. The presence of Spanish rule settles more deeply now, not as a sudden force, but as a quiet layer added to what already exists. The land does not resist, it simply absorbs. Early settlements begin to feel familiar. Their buildings no longer appear new against the landscape. Walls soften under sun and rain. Paths form naturally through repeated footsteps. Everything begins to look as though it belongs. Morning still arrives gently. Light spreads across rivers, wetlands, and the edges of settlements. The air is heavy but calm. People wake slowly, guided by routine rather than instruction. Life within the settlements follows repeated patterns. Work begins early, before the heat grows strong. Fields are tended carefully. Gardens are watched patiently. Animals are guided rather than driven. Missions continue to shape daily rhythm, though quietly. Their routines are steady and predictable. Moments of gathering and rest return again and again, creating a sense of structure without urgency. For native communities nearby, daily life continues along familiar paths. Fishing still follows the tides. Gathering still follows growth and season. Movement through wetlands and forests remains guided by long-held knowledge. The two ways of life exist close to one another now. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes they remain separate. Neither fully replaces the other. Encounters become part of daily experience. People see one another often. They work near the same water sources. They travel along nearby paths. Familiarity grows slowly, through repetition rather than agreement. Language differences remain, but understanding forms in other ways. Through shared work, through watching how the land shapes effort, through the shared need for rest during the hottest hours. The Spanish continue to learn the nature of Florida's land. Rain arrives suddenly and leaves just as quickly. Water reshapes the ground. Heat demands patience. Plans adjust daily. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high. Movement eases naturally. People retreat into shade, whether beneath trees, simple roofs, or open shelters. Rest becomes part of survival. During these quiet hours, the land feels especially present. Sound carries softly. Time feels stretched. Nothing presses forward. As the day cools, activity resumes gently. Work continues where it feels right. Tasks are finished without hurry. Some are left for another day. Evenings remain calm and grounding. Food is prepared slowly. Small groups gather without ceremony. Voices remain low. often giving way to silence. Stories are sometimes shared, but they remain simple. They speak of daily effort, of lessons learned from the land. They do not seek to impress. They exist to connect. Night settles evenly across settlements and open land alike. Stars appear above roofs and water. The darkness feels alive with quiet sound. Sleep comes naturally. Over time, Spanish rule becomes part of the background rather than the focus. Life is shaped more by land and routine than by distant authority. The land continues to guide everyone equally. There is no sharp boundary between old and new. There is only blending, only adjustment. This period is not defined by conflict or resolution. It is defined by patience, by repetition, by learning how to live together within the same warm, watery landscape. As this part of the story drifts onward, there is nothing you need to remember clearly. The flow is gentle by design. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues its quiet rhythm under early settlements, holding many ways of life together, steady and calm, as time moves forward without effort and rest settles in peacefully. The land of Florida continues to rest quietly beneath the wide sky, unchanged in its deeper nature, even as human presence settles more firmly into place. Water still moves slowly through low ground. Wetlands still breathe with the seasons. The sea still rises and falls along the coast with steady patience. The land does not hurry, and it does not forget. By now, Spanish settlements feel less like arrivals and more like features of the landscape. Walls have softened under sun and rain. Wood and stone have taken on the color of the land around them. Paths are worn smooth by repeated use, not carved sharply, but shaped gently over time. Morning arrives as it always has. Light spreads across rivers, fields, and the edges of settlements. The air is warm and still, heavy with moisture. People wake slowly, guided by routine rather than command. Daily life settles into repetition. Work begins early, before the heat becomes too strong. Fields are tended carefully, with an understanding that the land gives slowly. Gardens are watched patiently. Animals are guided calmly, never rushed. Missions continue their quiet rhythm. They are places of routine rather than excitement. Bells mark time softly, blending into the wider sound of the land. Work and rest follow predictable patterns, offering structure without urgency. For native communities, life continues alongside these changes. Fishing still follows tides and seasons. Gathering still depends on careful observation. Movement through wetlands and forests remains guided by knowledge passed down through generations. Old paths are still used. New paths form nearby. Neither replaces the other completely. They exist together, layered gently across the land. Encounters between people become ordinary. Faces are familiar now. Movements are expected. There is less hesitation in posture, less distance in presence. Still, differences remain, and they are not forced to disappear. Understanding grows quietly, through shared labor, through watching how the land shapes effort, through the shared need to pause when heat settles heavily across the day. The Spanish continue to adjust their expectations. Florida does not allow rigid plans. Rain arrives suddenly. Water reshapes the ground. Heat slows everything. Those who accept this find balance more easily. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People seek shade beneath trees, roofs, and open shelters. Rest is not wasted time here. It is necessary. During these hours, silence feels full. Water moves softly. Insects hum. The land seems to breathe slowly, inviting everyone to do the same. As the light begins to soften, activity resumes gently. Work continues where it feels right. Some tasks are finished, others are left without concern. There is always another day. Evenings gather people inward again. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared without ceremony. Voices remain low, often giving way to comfortable silence. Stories are sometimes told, but they are simple and grounding. They speak of daily effort, of lessons learned through patience. They are not meant to explain the world, only to settle the mind. Night arrives evenly across Florida. Stars appear above wetlands, forests and settlements alike. The darkness feels alive with quiet sound. Sleep comes naturally after steady days. Over long stretches of time, Spanish rule becomes part of the background. Life is shaped more by land and routine than by distant authority. The land remains the strongest influence, guiding behavior without words. There is no clear moment when this chapter ends. It fades gently into what comes next. Change continues, but always slowly, always layered over what already exists. The land remembers everything quietly. Footsteps soften, walls weather, paths shift, water carries reflection, not record. As this part of the story comes to rest, there is nothing you need to hold on to, nothing you need to remember clearly. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues its calm rhythm, holding old ways and new routines together, steady and patient beneath the wide sky, as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles in deeply and peacefully. Number 5. Florida as a borderland between empires and cultures. The land of Florida remains low, warm and quietly expansive as time continues to move forward without urgency. Water still shapes everything. Rivers drift slowly through flat ground. Wetlands stretch wide and reflective. The sea rests patiently along the coast, rising and falling as it always has. Nothing in the land itself suggests division, even as human worlds begin to overlap more clearly. Florida becomes a place in between, not fully one thing, not fully another. A borderland, shaped not by sharp lines, but by distance, water, and quiet presence. Here, different empires look toward the same land, each imagining something of their own, while the land itself remains unchanged. Daily life continues much as before. Morning arrives softly. Light spreads across marshes, forests, and shorelines. The air is heavy but calm, filled with the familiar sounds of water and birds. People wake slowly, guided by habit rather than command. For those who have lived here for generations, routines remain steady. Fishing still follows the tides. Gathering still follows growth and season. Movement through wetlands and forests remains careful and familiar. The land continues to teach patience. At the same time, the presence of outsiders becomes more layered. Different flags are imagined far away. Different authorities claim interest from a distance. Yet on the ground, life changes slowly, almost imperceptibly. Settlements remain small and scattered. They sit lightly on the land, never fully dominating it. Buildings weather quickly in the warm, wet climate. Paths form through repeated use rather than design. Encounters between cultures become more common now, though still quiet. People meet along rivers, near the coast, and beside familiar routes. There is caution, but also recognition. Faces become familiar. Movements are expected. Language remains a barrier, but routine builds understanding. Watching how others move through heat. Noticing when they rest. Seeing how they respond to rain and water. The land shapes everyone in similar ways. Florida's position makes it a place of passing through. Ships arrive along the coast, then leave again. Some people stay briefly, others remain longer. Very few feel permanent at first. The land does not offer quick comfort. Heat slows effort, wet ground resists heavy construction. Storms reshape plans. Those who stay learn to adjust. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People retreat into shade, allowing the day to pause. This pause is shared by everyone, regardless of origin. During these hours, the borderland feels especially quiet. No side pushes forward, no claim feels complete. The land holds everything gently in balance. As the light begins to soften, activity resumes. Fishing ends for the day. Travel slows. People return to familiar places without hurry. Evenings gather small groups inward. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared calmly. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. Stories are told quietly, shaped by memory rather than ambition. They speak of journeys, of water, of places known well. They are grounding rather than persuasive. Night settles evenly across Florida. Stars appear above wetlands, forests and coastlines alike. The darkness feels alive with sound. Sleep comes naturally. This borderland does not feel tense. It feels unresolved, open, patient. Different powers may imagine control, but the land itself resists ownership. It allows presence but not dominance. It shapes everyone who stays. Life here continues in the spaces between languages, between intentions, between worlds. As this part of the story unfolds, there is nothing sharp to follow, nothing dramatic to remember. The pace remains gentle by design. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues as a quiet borderland, holding many cultures lightly within its warm, watery landscape, steady and calm beneath the wide sky. As time moves forward without effort and rest settles in peacefully, time continues to move gently across the land, and Florida remains warm, low, and open beneath the wide sky. The feeling of being in between grows slowly, settling into daily life without announcement. This land does not rush to choose a side. It simply holds many presences at once. Morning arrives softly, as it always has. Light spreads across wetlands and rivers, touching the edges of settlements and open ground alike. The air feels heavy with warmth and moisture, calm and familiar. People wake without urgency, guided by routine rather than expectation. Life on the ground remains steady. Fishing still follows the tides. Gathering still follows the seasons. Movement through wetlands and forests remains careful and known. These routines continue beneath every shifting claim. Different groups now pass through Florida more frequently. Some arrive by sea, guided by long journeys and uncertain plans. Others move along rivers and paths, following familiar routes inland. Most stay briefly, a few remain longer, learning the land's rhythm through patience. Settlements change hands quietly over time. Buildings remain, paths remain. Only the people shift. The land absorbs these transitions without resistance. For those living here, daily life adapts gently. New faces appear. New words are heard. New customs are observed. Nothing is adopted quickly. Nothing is rejected outright. The land itself becomes the common ground. Heat slows everyone equally. Rain interrupts all plans. Water shapes movement without regard for origin or intention. Encounters between cultures are frequent now but rarely dramatic. People meet near water, where movement slows naturally. Trade happens quietly. Objects pass between hands without ceremony. Trust forms slowly, through repetition rather than promise. Language differences remain, but understanding grows through shared experience. Watching how others respond to storms, seeing when they rest during the hottest hours, noticing how everyone depends on the same rivers and shores. Florida's role as a borderland brings uncertainty, but also flexibility. No single authority feels fully present. Decisions made far away arrive softened by distance and delay. Local routine continues to matter more than distant rule. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People seek shade beneath trees, roofs, and open shelters. Rest becomes a shared necessity. During these quiet hours, the sense of in-between deepens. The land feels suspended, holding many possibilities without choosing one. Time stretches, thoughts drift easily. As the light softens toward evening, activity resumes gently. Fishing slows, travel pauses, people return to familiar places regardless of origin. Evenings remain calm and grounding. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared quietly. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. Stories are sometimes told, shaped by memory and experience rather than allegiance. They speak of journeys made, of water crossed, of lessons learned through patience. They are not meant to persuade, they exist to connect. Night settles evenly across Florida. Stars appear above wetlands, forests, and coastlines alike. The darkness feels alive with sound. Sleep comes naturally after steady days. Over time, Florida's identity as a borderland becomes familiar rather than uncertain. Life continues in the spaces between claims and cultures. People learn to adapt without needing resolution. The land remains the constant presence. It does not belong to one side or another. It shapes everyone who stays. As this part of the story drifts onward, there is nothing you need to hold on to, nothing you need to follow closely. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues to rest as a quiet borderland, holding many cultures gently within its warm, watery landscape, steady and patient beneath the wide sky as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles in peacefully. Number 6. Becoming part of the United States and shifting control, the land of Florida continues to rest quietly beneath the wide sky as another gentle shift begins to take shape. Water still moves slowly through rivers and wetlands. The sea still rises and falls along the coast in patient rhythm. Nothing in the land itself announces change. It simply remains steady and warm, allowing time to move at its own pace. For those living here, daily life still begins with the light. Morning arrives softly, touching water, soil, and trees without hurry. The air is heavy with warmth and calm. People wake gradually, guided by habit rather than decision. They listen first, as they always have. Fishing continues along rivers and shores. Gathering follows growth and season. Movement through wetlands remains careful and familiar. These routines do not shift easily. They have been shaped by the land over long stretches of time. Yet beyond the horizon, decisions are being made that slowly begin to matter here. Distant discussions, distant agreements. They move toward Florida quietly, carried by paperwork, ships, and long journeys. When they arrive softened by distance. Florida's place begins to change, not through sudden action, but through gradual adjustment. New expectations appear. New structures are imagined. Still, the land responds the same way it always has, asking for patience. Settlements remain small and scattered. Buildings weather quickly under sun and rain. Paths form through repetition rather than design. Nothing grows fast here. Nothing lasts unless it learns to bend. People notice new faces more often now. Some arrive with plans shaped elsewhere. Others come simply looking for land and routine. Most stay cautiously, learning the land's pace before deciding to remain. The idea of becoming part of a larger nation feels distant on the ground. It exists more in conversation than in daily experience. The land still sets the rules. Heat still slows effort. Rain still reshapes plans. Water still guides movement. Authority feels far away. Decisions take time to arrive. When they do, they are filtered through local routine and necessity. Life here remains practical, grounded, and quiet. Encounters between different ways of life continue. People meet near water, along familiar paths, beside small settlements. There is curiosity but little urgency. Understanding grows through observation rather than explanation. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People retreat into shade, allowing the day to pause. This pause is shared by everyone. During these hours, Florida feels especially steady. The land seems to hold its breath gently, reminding everyone that nothing needs to be forced. As the light softens toward evening, activity resumes without signal. Fishing slows, travel pauses. People return to familiar places calmly. Evenings feel grounding and familiar. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared quietly. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. Night settles evenly across rivers, wetlands, and coastal shores. Stars appear above everything equally. The darkness feels alive with sound. Sleep comes naturally. This is how Florida begins to shift toward a new chapter, not through sudden transformation, not through clear boundaries, but through quiet layering. Life continues in the spaces between old rhythms and new structures. The land remains the strongest presence, shaping every step. As this part of the story unfolds, there is nothing urgent to follow, nothing that needs to be remembered clearly. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues to rest beneath the wide sky, holding routine and gradual change together, steady and patient as time moves forward gently and rest settles in peacefully. Time continues to move forward with quiet patience, and Florida remains warm and low beneath the wide sky. The land does not react sharply to new ideas or distant decisions. It absorbs them slowly, the way it absorbs rain, heat, and passing seasons. Morning returns as it always has. Light spreads across rivers and wetlands, touching still water and dark soil. The air feels heavy but calm, holding the soft sounds of insects and birds. People wake gradually, guided by familiar routines rather than by change. Daily life continues to rest on the land itself. Fishing follows the tides along rivers and coasts. Gathering follows growth and season. Movement through wetlands remains careful, shaped by long experience. These rhythms are older than any new boundary and stronger than any new rule. The idea of becoming part of the United States settles in quietly. It is spoken of in small conversations. It appears in papers and announcements that travel slowly. But on the ground, life changes only in subtle ways. New faces arrive more often now. Some come with clear intentions shaped by places far away. Others arrive simply seeking land, space, and routine. They all must adjust to Florida's pace. The land teaches them quickly. Heat encourages rest. Rain interrupts plans without warning. Soft ground resists heavy structure. Those who listen learn to move more gently. Settlements remain modest. They grow a little, then pause. Buildings weather quickly, blending into the landscape. Paths deepen through use, not design. Nothing becomes permanent without patience. Authority continues to feel distant. Decisions made far away take time to arrive. By the time they do, they have softened, shaped by local needs and habits. Life here remains practical and grounded. Encounters between cultures continue, calm and ordinary. People meet near water, along paths, beside small settlements. Trade happens quietly. Objects pass between hands without ceremony. Trust forms slowly through repeated presence. Language differences remain, but understanding grows through shared experience. Everyone learns when to rest during the hottest hours. Everyone learns to respect storms and water. The land becomes the common guide. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People seek shade beneath trees, roofs, or open shelters. Rest becomes a shared rhythm. During these hours, Florida feels especially steady. No change presses forward. No direction feels urgent. Time stretches gently. As the light softens toward evening, activity resumes without signal. Fishing slows. Travel pauses. People return to familiar places calmly, carrying the quiet of the day with them. Evenings feel grounding and familiar. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared without hurry. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. Stories are sometimes shared, shaped by daily life rather than ambition. They speak of weather, water, and routine. They exist to connect, not to persuade. Night settles evenly across Florida. Stars appear above wetlands, forests, and coastal waters alike. The darkness feels alive with sound. Sleep comes naturally. Over time, the shift in control becomes less noticeable. It fades into the background of daily routine. Life continues to be shaped more by land and water than by distant authority. Florida does not rush to become something new. It remains what it has always been at its core, a place of water, warmth, and patience. As this part of the story drifts onward, there is nothing you need to remember clearly. The flow is gentle by design. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues its quiet transition, held by land and water, steady and calm beneath the wide sky, as time moves forward without effort and sleep settles in peacefully. The land of Florida continues to rest in its familiar calm, holding water, sky, and earth in quiet balance. Nothing about the ground itself feels different. Rivers still move slowly through low places. Wetlands continue to rise and fall with the seasons. The sea still meets the shore in steady rhythm. The land does not hurry to reflect human decisions. By now, the idea of Florida becoming part of the United States has settled more fully into the background of daily life. It is no longer entirely new, yet it is not something that demands constant attention. Like many changes before it, this one blends gradually into routine. Morning arrives softly, just as it always has. Light spreads across water and trees. The air is warm and still. People wake without urgency, guided by habit, by the feel of the day, rather than by distant authority. Daily life remains centered on what the land allows. Fishing continues along rivers and coasts, guided by tides and patience. Gathering follows growth and season. Movement through wetlands remains careful and familiar. These rhythms remain stronger than any new structure placed upon them. Settlements begin to feel more settled now, though never rigid. Buildings stand a little longer. Paths feel more worn. Yet everything still shows signs of adjustment. Heat, rain, and water continue to shape how long anything lasts. New systems slowly appear. New laws are spoken of. New expectations are introduced gently. Still, on the ground, people respond first to the land. Plans bend, schedules soften, routine remains flexible, authority continues to feel distant, decisions made far away arrive slowly. When they do arrive, they are filtered through local habit and necessity. Life here remains practical, shaped by experience rather than instruction. Encounters between different ways of life become ordinary. People meet along familiar paths. They share space near water. Trade happens quietly. Objects pass between hands without ceremony. Trust grows slowly through repeated presence. Language differences remain, but understanding deepens through shared routine. Everyone learns when to rest during the heat. Everyone learns how storms interrupt plans. Everyone depends on the same rivers, the same shelter, the same quiet patience. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People retreat into shade, whether beneath trees, simple roofs, or open shelters. Rest becomes part of survival. During these hours, Florida feels especially grounded. No change feels urgent. No direction feels forced. Time stretches gently, allowing everything to settle. As the day cools, activity resumes without signal. Fishing slows and comes to an end. Travel pauses. People return to familiar places calmly, carrying the quiet of the day with them. Evenings feel calm and grounding. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared quietly. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. The sky softens into deeper colors. Night settles evenly across Florida. Stars appear above wetlands, forests, and coastal waters alike. The darkness feels alive with sound. Water continues to move unseen. Sleep comes naturally after steady days. Over time, the shift in control becomes simply another layer in Florida's long story. Life does not reorganize itself dramatically. It adjusts. It absorbs. It continues. The land remains the strongest presence. It shapes every routine. It sets the pace. It reminds everyone that patience matters more than speed. There is no clear moment when this chapter ends. It fades gently into what comes next, just as all chapters here do. Nothing is erased. Nothing is rushed. As this part of the story comes to rest, there is nothing you need to hold on to. Nothing you need to remember clearly. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues beneath the wide sky, holding old rhythms and new structures together, steady and patient as time moves forward quietly and sleep settles in deeply and peacefully. Number 7. Life through conflict, recovery, and gradual growth. The land of Florida continues to rest beneath the wide sky, calm and patient, even as human life begins to move through a more uncertain season. Water still shapes everything. Rivers drift slowly through low ground. Wetlands breathe with the rise and fall of rain. The sea meets the shore in steady rhythm, unchanged by human concern. For the people living here, daily life still begins with the light. Morning arrives softly, spreading warmth across water and soil. The air feels heavy but familiar. People wake slowly, guided by routine rather than fear. Even when uncertainty exists, the land still asks for attention. Conflict does not arrive all at once. It settles gradually, carried by distant decisions and competing claims. Voices from far away speak of control, borders, and authority. On the ground, these ideas feel muted, softened by distance and time. Life continues in familiar patterns. Fishing still follows the tides. Gathering still follows the seasons. Movement through wetlands and forests remains careful and known. The land continues to teach patience. Yet there is a subtle change in the air, not loud or dramatic, just a sense that the world beyond Florida is pressing a little closer. Ships arrive more often, uniforms appear more regularly, rules are spoken more clearly, settlements feel the shift first, small towns grow slightly busier, paths are traveled more often, people hear unfamiliar accents, unfamiliar concerns. Still, daily routines hold steady. Those who live close to the land continue to rely on what they know. They wake early, they rest during the heat. They listen to the water and the weather. These habits remain stronger than any passing tension. Moments of conflict appear, but they are brief and uneven. They do not define every day. Most days are still quiet. Most days are still shaped by work, rest, and routine. The land itself does not change its behavior. Rain still arrives suddenly. Heat still slows movement. Water still demands respect. Everyone, regardless of intention, must adjust. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky. Movement eases naturally. People retreat into shade, allowing the day to pause. Even uncertainty learns to wait here. During these hours, Florida feels steady and grounded. The land offers reassurance through repetition. Nothing feels entirely lost. Nothing feels entirely resolved. As the day cools, activity resumes gently. Fishing slows, travel pauses. People return to familiar places calmly, carrying both routine and uncertainty with them. Evenings remain grounding. Food is prepared slowly. Meals are shared quietly. Voices remain low, often giving way to silence. The sky softens into deeper colors. Night settles evenly across rivers, wetlands, and settlements alike. Stars appear above everything equally. Darkness feels alive with sound rather than empty. Sleep comes naturally after steady days. This is how life moves through early periods of conflict in Florida. Not as constant struggle, not as endless tension, but as quiet adjustment layered over familiar routine. Recovery does not arrive suddenly either. It begins in small moments, a return to familiar paths, a rebuilding of simple structures, a continuation of daily life. The land remains the constant presence. It holds people steady when uncertainty grows. It reminds them how to move, when to rest, when to wait. As this part of the story unfolds, there is nothing sharp to follow, nothing dramatic to remember. You can let your breathing slow. You can allow your thoughts to soften. Florida continues beneath the wide sky, holding conflict and calm together, steady and patient, as time moves forward gently and rest settles in peacefully. Time continues to move forward across the land of Florida in a quiet and unhurried way. Nothing here happens all at once, and nothing demands immediate attention. The rivers still move slowly through low ground. Wetlands still rise and fall with the rhythm of rain, and the warm air continues to rest gently over everything. Even as conflict becomes a more noticeable part of life, the land itself does not react. It holds steady, offering the same familiar patterns day after day. Morning still arrives softly. Light spreads across water and soil, touching trees, small settlements, and open land without distinction. The air feels heavy but calm, carrying the same sounds it always has. Birds move through the sky. Water shifts quietly. People wake gradually, guided more by habit than by concern. The presence of uncertainty does not stop the day from beginning. It simply exists alongside it. Daily routines continue because they must. Fishing still follows the tides, just as it always has. Nets are checked carefully. Canoes move across water at a steady pace. Gathering continues in familiar places, guided by season and growth. These actions feel grounding. They remind people that life here has always depended on patience and attention rather than force. Conflict, when it appears, does so unevenly. Some days feel almost unchanged, other days carry subtle signs of tension. Ships arrive more frequently along the coast. New faces pass through settlements. Uniforms are seen more often than before. Voices carry instructions that feel unfamiliar. Still, these moments rarely overwhelm the day. Most hours remain quiet, shaped by work, rest, and routine. The land continues to slow everything down. Heat settles heavily in the afternoon, encouraging people to pause no matter what concerns exist. Rain arrives suddenly, reshaping plans without asking permission. Wet ground softens paths and reminds everyone to move carefully. No authority, no conflict, and no decision made far away moves faster than Florida allows. People learn to adapt without discussion. They learn when to keep distance and when to continue as usual. They learn how to observe changes without reacting too quickly. Survival here has always depended on flexibility, and that truth remains unchanged. The land teaches it daily. Afternoons remain slow and still. The sun rests high in the sky, and movement naturally eases. Work pauses not because it is finished, but because the land demands rest. People retreat into shade beneath trees, simple shelters, or open roofs. During these hours, the sense of conflict softens. Silence returns. The land feels steady beneath everything else, offering reassurance through repetition. It is during these quiet afternoons that recovery begins, though no one names it yet. Small repairs are made without ceremony. A damaged structure is fixed over time. A familiar fishing place is visited again after being avoided. Paths that once felt uncertain are slowly used again. Nothing returns all at once. Life resumes in pieces, gently and patiently. No one speaks of recovery as a single moment. It is felt gradually, through routine returning, through fear fading into caution, and caution slowly fading into memory. Confidence rebuilds not through announcements, but through repetition. The land encourages this process by remaining predictable. Even when human affairs feel uncertain, evenings continue to arrive gently. Food is prepared slowly, often with the same movements repeated night after night. Meals are shared quietly, voices remain low. Conversation is simple and familiar, often fading into silence without effort. The sky softens into deeper colors, and the heat loosens its hold on the day. Night settles without ceremony. Darkness feels alive rather than empty. Water continues to move unseen. Insects hum softly. The land does not sleep, but it rests. Sleep comes naturally to those who have spent the day adjusting, listening, and waiting. It arrives not as escape, but as restoration. Over time, conflict no longer feels immediate. It becomes something remembered rather than lived. Its sharp edges soften, absorbed into the long rhythm of the land. What remains is routine, patience, and the quiet understanding that life here continues no matter what passes through it. Growth begins quietly, not as expansion or ambition, but as steadiness, more consistent movement, more rebuilding, more confidence in familiar paths. Life does not become easy, but it becomes recognizable again. People trust the land the way they always have. They listen, they adjust, they continue. This period does not end with resolution, it simply moves forward one calm day at a time. The land carries everyone gently, allowing life to settle back into its slow and steady rhythm. Time continues to move forward in Florida in the same quiet way it always has, without clear signals of when one phase ends and another begins. The land does not mark moments of recovery or growth with ceremony. Instead, it allows them to unfold slowly, blending one day into the next until change feels natural rather than announced. Rivers still follow their gentle paths. Wetlands continue to expand and retreat with rain. The air remains warm and steady, carrying familiar sounds across open spaces. Mornings continue to arrive without disruption. Light spreads softly across settlements, water, and open land, touching everything evenly. People wake with the same habits they have relied on for years. They step outside, feel the air, and begin their day without urgency. Even after periods of conflict, these early hours feel reassuring. The land has not changed its behavior, and that steadiness offers quiet comfort. daily life settles back into dependable routines. Fishing becomes regular again, guided by tides and patient observation. Nets are checked at familiar times. Boats move across water at a measured pace. Gathering returns to known places, guided by growth and season rather than concern. These repeated actions rebuild confidence slowly, without anyone needing to say that recovery has begun. Settlements begin to feel more settled, though never rigid. Repairs are made carefully, often using what is already available. Buildings are strengthened where they can be, knowing that heat and rain will test them again. Paths become more clearly worn as people move through them daily. Nothing expands quickly. Everything grows at the pace the land allows. The memory of conflict does not disappear entirely. It remains present but quieter. Conversations become less guarded. Movement feels more relaxed. People return to routines they once avoided, testing them gently, then trusting them again. Recovery here is not about forgetting, it is about continuing. The land plays its familiar role in guiding behavior. Heat still slows the afternoon, rain still interrupts plans without warning, water still reshapes the ground. These forces remind everyone that stability here has always depended on adaptation rather than control. Growth happens best when it listens. Afternoons remain slow and still, just as they always have. The sun rests high in the sky, and work naturally pauses. People retreat into shade, not because they are tired of rebuilding, but because the land insists on rest. During these hours, time feels wide and forgiving. Thoughts drift easily. The weight of earlier uncertainty fades further into the background. It is during these quiet pauses that gradual growth becomes most visible. Confidence returns in small ways. People begin to plan a little further ahead, though never too far. They trust that tomorrow will arrive much like today. They rely again on familiar rhythms rather than caution. Evenings continue to offer grounding comfort. Food is prepared slowly, often using the same methods passed down over time. Meals are shared quietly, voices remain low. Conversation is gentle, sometimes fading into silence without effort. The sky deepens into softer colors, and the heat loosens its hold on the day. Night arrives calmly, without distinction between past and present. Darkness settles evenly across land and water. The sounds of insects and moving water fill the quiet spaces. Sleep comes naturally, carrying rest rather than escape. Bodies relax into the same rhythms they have always known. Over longer stretches of time, growth becomes more noticeable, though still modest. Settlements feel steadier. Movement feels more confident. Daily life regains its familiar shape. There is no rush to expand beyond what feels manageable. Florida has taught patience too well for that. The memory of conflict continues to soften. It becomes part of the land's long story rather than something that defines the present. What remains strongest is routine, resilience, and the quiet understanding that life here continues through adaptation rather than force. This period does not close with a clear ending. It flows gently into what comes next. Recovery blends into stability. Stability blends into growth. The land remains constant, guiding every transition with warmth and patience. As time moves forward, nothing demands your attention. There is no moment you need to catch or remember. The story continues on its own, steady and unhurried, just like the land beneath it. You can let the rhythm carry you now. There is nothing more you need to follow closely. Life in Florida continues, calm and grounded, moving forward quietly as rest deepens. Number 8, from rural communities to railways, tourism and cities, time continues to move forward in Florida without announcing its direction. There is no clear moment when rural life ends and something new begins. Instead, the change arrives quietly, settling into the land the same way everything else has before it. The rivers still move slowly. Wetlands still stretch wide and reflective. The air remains warm and heavy, encouraging patience rather than speed. What begins to shift is how people move through the land. For a long time, life has remained close to the ground. Small communities grow around familiar water sources. Daily routines follow the same gentle patterns. Work is done early. Rest comes naturally in the heat. The land continues to set the pace and people continue to listen. Even as new ideas begin to appear, these older rhythms do not disappear. Gradually, paths that were once walked begin to feel more defined. Movement between places becomes more regular. What were once quiet routes turn into familiar connections between communities. These changes are not sudden. They happen through repetition. One journey follows another until distance feels slightly smaller than it once did. The idea of railways arrives first as a distant concept. It is spoken of quietly, carried through conversation rather than action. On the land itself, nothing changes at first. The ground remains soft, water remains close, the air still slows effort, but eventually lines begin to form across the landscape, guided carefully through places where the land allows passage. Railways do not rush Florida. They adapt to it. Tracks follow the easiest paths. Construction pauses often. Heat and rain decide the schedule more than planning does. When the rails finally settle into place, they do not replace the land's rhythm. They layer themselves gently on top of it. Rural communities begin to feel slightly more connected. Travel becomes more predictable. Goods move more regularly. People still wake early. They still rest during the heat. But the sense of distance begins to soften. The land feels a little closer to itself. Along the coast, another quiet shift begins. People from outside Florida arrive not to settle permanently, but to stay briefly. They are drawn by warmth, water, and open skies. At first, their presence is light and temporary. They come, they rest, and they leave again. The land watches without response. Tourism does not arrive as noise, it arrives as curiosity. Visitors move slowly at first, adjusting to heat and space. They learn quickly that Florida does not reward haste. They rest more than they expect to. They move carefully near water. Their presence blends softly into existing life. Small towns near the coast and railways begin to change shape. Not quickly, not dramatically. A few more buildings appear, a few more paths are worn into the ground. Services grow where they are needed. Nothing expands beyond what feels manageable. Cities begin as extensions of routine rather than replacements for it. They grow where movement gathers naturally, near water, near rail connections, near familiar stopping places. Even as buildings rise higher, the land continues to assert itself. Heat slows the day, storms interrupt plans, water demands respect. Daily life adjusts without losing its calm. People still structure their days around the environment. Work begins early. Afternoons slow naturally. Even in growing towns, rest remains part of survival. The land has not changed its expectations. This period does not feel like a break from the past. It feels like a gradual widening. Rural life continues. Railways add connection. Tourism adds movement. Cities add density. All of it exists together, layered gently across the same warm, watery ground. As this chapter begins, there is nothing sharp to notice, no single moment to remember. The change is meant to be felt slowly, like a shift in the air rather than a turn in the road. The story continues forward at its own pace. You do not need to hold on to details. The rhythm will carry itself.